Good morning, all. It is May 13th, and that is snow that's on the ground out there when I took the puppy for his walk. So, we're in the Berkshires, so this is what's going on now, and it's the time of the plant pandemic. Isn't it fun? Oh, there's supposed to be a puppy picture there, but no puppy picture. So, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to walk you through how to approach one of these AP rhetorical essays, soup to nuts. I'm going to do it relatively quickly because we've done this one before. This is the Florence Kelly essay. And then I'm going to finish up with a rubric. Please be with me. I'm not going to try and bore you too much. Basically, this is something we haven't handled for a few months to go from there. Step one, this passage right here, this thing. This thing sets up your whole essay. If you have it set here, you're good. If you don't do it, you're in trouble. You need to know speaker, you need to know audience, and you need to know purpose. So who's our speaker? Well, it's Florence Kelly, social worker and reformer who fought successfully child labor laws and improved conditions for working women. So she's progressive. Great. She delivered the following speech before the Convention of North American Women's Suffrage Association in Philadelphia, July 22nd, 1905. It's at this point you have to engage the imagination. All right, you can't just assume it's telling you everything. It's not. You have to be imaginary. So she is a social worker and reformer who is going to speaking at National American Women's Suffrage in Philadelphia. So she is going to be talking to rich white women who cannot vote, but they want to change the way the world is. They're in Philadelphia. They're urban. They're northern. They think they're special. Am I making sense? So that's who her audience is. So she has to get through to them. Rich white women. She also, because she's a social worker and reformer, she's not working on a farm someplace. She's not working in a factory. She also is upper class. All right? So we have a rich white woman speaking to other rich white women. You want to analyze rhetorical strategies Kelly uses to convey her message. All right, so basically we're going to read. So what's her message? Well, she's fighting for child labor laws. So what is she telling the women? Guess what, ladies? We need to reform the child labor laws. Now, her argument's a little bit more nuanced because they can't vote. So at the end of the thing, she says something along the lines of, look, we can't vote, so we have to join the labor unions with the Italians and the Poles, and I know they're smelly, but we have to join with them so that we can get the vote so we can change this. Because if we don't join with them, we can't get the vote, we can't change it. All right. So now we're going to go through this. We're not going to grab everything, but we're going to grab a lot of stuff. We have in this country 2 million children. Who's this we? Right? You and I, us rich women, we have 2 million children earning their bread. It's a minor thing. The bread, it's a biblical allusion, but it's also the idea that they're eating. And they're not eating well, but this is the food they have to work in order to eat. Skipping. Tonight, while we sleep, several thousand little girls will be working in textile mills all night through in the deafening noise of the spindles, the looms, spinning and weaving cotton. All right. In Alabama, the law for child under 16 age shall not work. In Georgia, no restriction whatever. Not only in the South, so then in Alabama does better than New Jersey. Last year, New Jersey took a long backward step. All right. In Pennsylvania. So notice how she's organized this. She's talking to the white northern women in 1905. The Civil War was 40 years ago. So it may not be in their memory, but it's in their parents' memory. It's pretty close. All right? She was born 1859, so she was 6 years old when the Civil War ended. So now she's speaking to the Northerners, and she's saying, look, New Jersey and Pennsylvania are worse than Alabama and Georgia. And so she's nailing them. But remember, think about who the audience is. They're complacent, happy-go-lucky white women. Now, in this particular one, she uses an anecdote. Little girl on her 13th birthday could start away from home 5:30 in the afternoon. All right. So we have all that. If the mothers of Georgia could vote, the rhetorical question, of course they would have stopped this. Children braid, so now skipping again. Children braid straw for their hats. They spin and weave the velvet retrims. They stamp buckles and metal ornaments of kind, as well as pins and hat pins. Under the sweating system, tiny children make artificial flowers. They work for us. They're little beasts of burden. They work for us. So all of her audience is now looking at the clothes they're wearing, and they're saying, oh crap, all of this stuff was made by little girls. Oh, we feel really guilty. What she wants to make her audience feel a certain way. They want to feel really guilty. If they're really guilty, they will turn around and vote the way she wants them to vote. Now, there's a trick with this essay, and this is back here. What can we do to free our consciences? We can enlist the working man on our behalf for the enfranchisement we strive to free the children. So she has to hit a bank shot. In other words, she has to say, you have to join up with the working men. They'll get us the right to vote, then we can get the kids out. It's not quite as simple as let's prevent the kids from working. All right, so there's our essay. Sort of summed up. We've done this before. All right, so here is the rubric that they're going to grade you on. This looks complicated. It's really easy. I'm going to put copies of this up. The first part of this is, does it respond to the prompt with a defensible thesis that analyzes the writer's rhetorical devices? If you follow the cookie cutter pattern that I've given you, or you make you modify it a little bit and do what you want, you'll be fine. Again, we've done this 1,000 times. They give all sorts of other little stipulations as to what could happen. It can be more than one sentence, can be anywhere with a response. But I would say that just as long as you do this, you're all set. Just follow the pattern. This is the tricky one. This is the hard part. But it's pretty easy if you sort of loosen it down. 0 means you have no evidence. 1 means you have some evidence, but it is not much. All you're doing is summarizing. It's mostly general. All right, so you're not even using quotes. 2 is you're using specific relevant evidence. Sure, those are 2 points. And you explain how the evidence kind of relates, but not really. 3 is where we're aiming. You have evidence, you have commentary, and you talk about one rhetorical choice. So if you talk about the use of the word we, and you use evidence and you talk about it, guess what? You're now up in the range of a 3. And this is multiple rhetorical strategies. All right? So it's going to be hard to see what the difference between 3 and 4 is. You're using multiple things in 4 to get 4 points. I think that when they actually come down to grading it, they're going to be a lot tighter on going from 3 to 4. The whole point here is the consistency explains, as opposed to explains how some of. So they might say, oh, you used a couple examples and was really thoughtful, but you didn't consistently explain it. So the difference between 3 and 4 is going to be fuzzy, but the difference between 2 and 3 is huge. So as long as we can get in 3, which means you have some specific evidence, you explain how that fits into your line of reasoning, and you use a rhetorical choice. In other words, you explain why she uses we. You're going to be good to go. The last one, this is where before we left, I was telling you this is where I want you to dunk. All right? This says that you have sophistication, to demonstrate sophistication of thought. So, you can use, so this, I'm saying, you think about the conclusion, but you want to talk about a style that is vivid or persuasive. Explain the significance of the writer's rhetorical devices given the situation. So in other words, in this case, you would get this point if you said, look, she uses we because they're all rich white women. She knows she identifies with rich white women, so that's how it's going to go. This basically is dunking. I want you to dunk on people. So if you want to go to your conclusion and say, none of this is going to work unless you do this, that, or that, that's going to be fine. So let's carry this out. Here's the recipe. First off, let's go through and check it all off. Second, All right, so here's our opening paragraph. Then here we read the speech. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how the technology works in terms of whether you can take the speech out and then mark it up or something. If you can do it digitally, just do it digitally. So then we go through the structure of the paragraphs, and then I have the conclusion here. So one is, does it resemble something else? This is the counter argument where you say some people say, and then this is we make it add it to what it looks like today, and then we go personally at the end. But any of those ways are different ways of looking at the argument. Here's the model that we did. 1905 was a great year for reform. Historians put this year smack in the middle of the progressive era. So notice what we're doing. We're telling a whole story here. All right. So we start off with all this stuff there. Florence Kelley comes to the lectern. She's our speaker. Here's our audience. At a great moment for change. The audience is presumably female, mostly white progressives. The audience, healthy death of red meat. She wants her audience to convince working men to give women the vote so they can free the children. This is the most important part. Okay? Here is in order to. So, now we go through the essay. Structure. Remember, we're just going in the order of the essay. In the first 3 paragraphs of the speech. So at the beginning. And then we have the examples. It's ribbons for us to buy. She addresses the rich white matrons using the word of us. Every woman in the audience was once a little girl, and most of them owned some ribbon made by a poor little girl in the middle of the night. Bing. All right? Bing, 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 bing. So there's the example. There's putting it in context and how it fits into the meaning. For the next 5 paragraphs. Okay, so there's our second transition. All right? So here, she's going with the word sleep, the different meanings of the word sleep, that she sleeps, and also that they're not paying attention to what's going on. And then we go into the Georgia and Alabama versus Philadelphia. And then 8th paragraph. So now we're closing to it, coming to the end, and we have the end of the speech down here. We and us, some more we and us. And then we have this at the end. Where does carry so much guilt? So then we come to our conclusion. All right. Most of us in modern America, so now we're going positive. We're going right here. And we cover the Philippines. We talk about our phones. All right. And this wraps us up. This essay is walking between a 5 and a 6. It has its literary examples. It applies them. It puts commentary on them. It fits in an argument. Somebody's going to read it and say, I don't know if you're doing it consistently. That's the only argument that's going to come in. All right. That's how you write this essay.